Steve Harvey had hosted Family Feud for 30 years, and in that time he had welcomed countless cancer survivors onto his stage, always treating them with respect, admiration, and genuine celebration of their victories over disease. But on a bright September morning in 2025, a 38-year-old breast cancer survivor named Michelle Torres would reveal why the specific date of her Family Feud appearance mattered in such a profound, devastating, and ultimately inspiring way that it would leave the entire studio in shocked silence, followed by overwhelming emotion. What began as a standard acknowledgement of survivorship would transform into one of the most powerful testimonies about fighting for time, living with terminal diagnoses, and the fierce determination to create one final perfect memory. Before we continue with Michelle's revelation about why today's date was so significant, if you're moved by these authentic stories about facing mortality with grace, fighting for meaningful moments when time is limited, and the courage it takes to live fully while dying, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. These stories honor those who face death with dignity and remind us that every moment we have is precious. The Torres family from San Diego, California walked onto the Family Feud stage with an energy that was both joyful and somehow bittersweet. There were 5 of them competing: Michelle, age 38, her husband Carlos, who was 40, their daughter Sofia, who was 12, Michelle's sister Anna, who was 35, and Anna's husband David, who was 37. Michelle was striking and beautiful, wearing a vibrant purple dress and a colorful headscarf wrapped elegantly around her head. She moved with careful deliberation, and though she was smiling, there was a fragility to her that suggested she was working harder than everyone else just to be there. Her family surrounded her with visible protectiveness, and Sofia, her daughter, held her mother's hand almost constantly. During the family introductions, Steve immediately noticed Michelle's headscarf and made the connection that most people would. "Mrs. Torres, I see you're wearing that beautiful headscarf. Are you a cancer survivor?" Michelle's smile was radiant despite the sadness in her eyes. "I am, Mr. Harvey. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 years ago. I've been through surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, more chemotherapy, immunotherapy, basically everything modern medicine has to offer." Steve's expression showed deep respect and compassion. "You are a warrior, ma'am, a true fighter, and you look beautiful. How are you doing now?" Michelle's answer would be the first hint that there was more to her story than a simple survival tale. "I'm here, Mr. Harvey. I'm standing on this stage with my family, and that's all that matters today." There was something in the way she said "today," an emphasis that suggested specific significance, but Steve didn't press further at that moment. The game proceeded, and Michelle participated actively despite obviously not feeling well. Between questions, she would take deep breaths, lean on Carlos for support, and Sofia would look up at her mother with eyes that held a maturity and fear far beyond her 12 years. But Michelle kept playing, kept smiling, kept engaging with enthusiasm that seemed to require enormous effort. The Torres family was playing against the Johnson family from Texas, and both teams brought good energy to the competition. About halfway through the game, during a break for a commercial, one of the production assistants noticed that Michelle had sat down on the edge of the stage and was being attended to by her family. Steve approached with concern. "Michelle, are you feeling all right? Do you need us to stop? Your health is more important than any game." Michelle shook her head firmly. "No, please, we have to finish today specifically. It has to be today." The insistence, the urgency in her voice made Steve pause. "Michelle, can I ask why today is so important? If there's something you need to tell us, if there's something we should know." Michelle looked at her husband, who nodded encouragingly, tears already forming in his eyes. She looked at her daughter, who squeezed her hand. And then Michelle decided to share the truth she'd been carrying. "Mr. Harvey, can I tell you and everyone here something? It's important." Steve immediately sat down on the stage beside her, giving her his complete attention. The audience fell silent, sensing something significant was about to be shared. Michelle took a breath and began. "3 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. I fought as hard as I could. Surgery, chemo, radiation, all of it. And for a while, we thought we'd beaten it. But 18 months ago, the cancer came back. Stage 4, metastatic. It spread to my bones, my liver, my lungs." The studio fell into shocked silence. Steve's face showed the impact of her words, the recognition of what stage 4 metastatic meant. Michelle continued, her voice steady but thick with emotion. "When they told me it was stage 4, they also told me it was terminal, treatable but not curable. They gave me a prognosis of 12 to 18 months. That was 18 months ago. I've been living on borrowed time for months now." Steve's hand went to his mouth, his eyes immediately filling with tears. The audience sat in stunned, sorrowful silence. Michelle pressed on, needing to finish. 6 weeks ago, my oncologist told me that the treatments aren't working anymore. The cancer is progressing despite everything we're trying. She said I probably have somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks left. Maybe a little more if I'm lucky, maybe less if I'm not. The devastating reality of what Michelle was saying settled over everyone. This beautiful woman, this mother, this wife and sister and fighter, was dying. She was standing on the Family Feud stage in what were likely her final weeks of life. Steve's tears were flowing freely now, and throughout the audience, people were openly weeping. When I found out I was terminal, I made a list of things I wanted to do with whatever time I had left. At the top of that list was creating one perfect, happy memory with my entire family. A day where we could just be together, laughing and playing and not thinking about cancer or death or what comes next. Just one day of normal family fun. Michelle turned to look at her daughter, Sofia, whose face was wet with tears. My daughter has spent 3 years of her childhood watching her mother fight cancer. She's seen me sick from chemo, weak from treatment, losing my hair in pain. She's watched cancer steal so much from our family. I wanted to give her one memory that wasn't about cancer. One memory where mommy was just mommy, where we were just a family doing something fun together. Sofia loves Family Feud. We watch it together every night after dinner. It's our thing. Michelle's voice broke completely. So I applied to be on this show 6 months ago when I still thought I might have a year or more. But when my doctor said I only had weeks left, I called the producers and I begged them. I told them I was dying, that this was my final wish, that I needed to create this memory for my daughter before I couldn't anymore. And they moved heaven and earth to get us here today. She looked at Steve with profound gratitude. Today is September 18th, 2026. Exactly 12 years ago today, September 18th, 2014, Sofia was born. Today is her 12th birthday. And I'm giving her the only birthday gift I have left to give, one perfect day with her mama where we get to laugh and play and be on her favorite TV show together. This is my last birthday with my baby girl, and I'm spending it here, creating a memory she can hold onto forever. The revelation hit the studio like a physical force. The audience erupted in sobs, many people crying uncontrollably at the devastating beauty of what Michelle was sharing. Steve Harvey stood up from the stage and literally walked away from the cameras, completely unable to maintain any composure. He stood in the wings for several moments, his shoulders shaking with the force of his emotion, while production staff and crew members openly wept alongside him. Sofia, Michelle's 12-year-old daughter, spoke up in a voice that was simultaneously childlike and far too mature. Mommy wanted today to be special. She made Daddy promise we wouldn't be sad, that we'd just have fun and be happy together. She said this is her gift to me, so I can remember that even when she was dying, she was still my mama and we could still have joy together. Carlos, Michelle's husband, added through his tears, "My wife is the strongest person I've ever known. She's been fighting this disease with everything she has for 3 years. And now, in what are probably her final weeks, she's not focused on herself or her pain or her fear. She's focused on giving our daughter one last perfect memory. That's who Michelle is. That's who she's always been." Anna, Michelle's sister, spoke about helping arrange this day. "When Michelle told me she wanted to be on Family Feud for Sofia's birthday as her final gift, I thought it was impossible. The wait times, the scheduling, the logistics, it seemed insurmountable. But when we explained the situation to the show's producers, they didn't hesitate. They said, 'We'll make it happen.' And they did. They gave Michelle this gift, this chance to be here today." Steve Harvey finally composed himself enough to return to the stage. His face was ravaged by tears, his usual polished appearance completely abandoned. He approached Michelle and knelt in front of her. "Michelle, I don't even have words. The courage it took to be here today, knowing what you're facing. The love that drove you to fight through your pain and weakness to give your daughter this experience. The grace with which you're handling the unthinkable. You're extraordinary." Michelle smiled through her own tears. "Mr. Harvey, I'm not extraordinary. I'm just a mother who loves her daughter more than anything and wants to leave her with something beautiful to remember. Every day for the last 3 years, Sofia has watched cancer steal pieces of me. Today, for her birthday, I wanted her to see me as just her mom, doing something fun and silly and normal. That's what this is about." Steve stood and addressed the audience and cameras directly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of someone who is teaching us what real love looks like, what real courage looks like. Michelle Torres is dying. She probably has just weeks left. And she's spending what is likely her last birthday with her daughter here on this stage, fighting through pain and exhaustion to create one final perfect memory. That is the most profound act of love I have ever witnessed." He turned back to Michelle and her family. "We are going to make this the most special episode of Family Feud we have ever produced. This game, this day, this memory you're creating, we're going to honor it in every way we can." Steve signaled to the production team. I want every person in this studio to understand that we are not just playing a game show. We are participating in something sacred. We are helping a dying mother give her daughter a final gift. Let's treat this moment with the reverence it deserves." The game continued, but it was transformed. The opposing Johnson family, upon learning Michelle's situation, played with genuine warmth and grace, clearly more focused on helping create a positive experience than on winning. The audience cheered for every answer Michelle gave, whether it was on the board or not, celebrating her presence more than her performance. Steve moderated with unusual tenderness, checking on Michelle constantly, making sure she was comfortable and able to continue. When Michelle came to the podium for her turn, Steve asked, "Before you play, is there anything you want to say to Sofia?" Michelle looked at her daughter, who was standing with the family, and spoke directly to her. "Sofia, mi amor, I need you to know something. Being your mother has been the greatest privilege of my life. Every moment I've had with you, every hug, every conversation, every ordinary day has been a gift I never took for granted. I'm so sorry that cancer is taking me away from you so soon. I would give anything to be here to see you grow up, to see you graduate and fall in love and become whoever you're meant to be." Michelle's voice was breaking, but she pressed on. "But I need you to remember that love doesn't end when someone dies. I will always be your mother. I will always love you. And I will always be with you in every important moment of your life. When you need me, close your eyes and feel my love surrounding you, because it will be. Nothing, not even death, can take that away." Sofia ran to her mother and they embraced, both crying, while everyone in the studio wept at this beautiful and heartbreaking expression of a mother's love in the face of death. Carlos joined them, wrapping his arms around his wife and daughter, and they stood together as a family, holding each other through the pain. The Torres family won their game, though everyone understood that the victory was secondary to the experience. When they advanced to fast money, Michelle insisted on going second, the more pressure-filled position. "I want Sofia to remember me as strong and capable, fighting until the very end," she explained. Sofia went first and scored 142 points, meaning Michelle needed just 58 to win the $20,000. As Michelle prepared to play, Steve did something unprecedented. He stepped away from his normal hosting position and stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder, lending her his support literally and figuratively. "You've got this," he told her quietly, "and even if you don't, you've already won everything that matters." Michelle played fast money with remarkable focus despite obvious exhaustion and pain. She answered each question clearly and confidently, and with her final answer she secured the points needed for victory. The studio erupted in the loudest, most emotional celebration in Family Feud history. Sofia ran to her mother, and Michelle, despite her weakness, lifted her daughter into her arms one more time, holding her while they both cried tears of joy and grief and love. After the game concluded, Steve made an announcement. "Michelle, Carlos, Sofia, Anna, David, your family has given us all a gift today. You've shown us what really matters, what love looks like in the face of death, what it means to fight for moments that matter. The $20,000 you won is yours, absolutely. But beyond that, the Steve Harvey Foundation wants to do something more." Steve continued, "We're going to make sure that Sofia has a college fund that will be there when she needs it. We're going to provide support for the family's medical bills and end-of-life care costs. And we're going to make sure that this episode, this final birthday gift from mother to daughter, is preserved and honored as the beautiful testament to love that it is." The audience rose in a standing ovation that lasted nearly 10 minutes, people crying and applauding, honoring this family, and especially this remarkable woman who was facing death with such grace, and focusing her final energy on love rather than fear. When the episode aired 4 weeks later, with extensive content warnings and resources for families dealing with cancer, the response was overwhelming. Within 24 hours, the clip of Michelle revealing why today's date mattered had been viewed over 1.5 billion times globally. People around the world were moved by Michelle's fierce maternal love, her determination to give her daughter one perfect memory, and her grace in the face of terminal illness. Cancer organizations reported unprecedented engagement with their resources. People who had been putting off difficult conversations about terminal diagnoses found courage in Michelle's example. Families facing similar situations reached out, sharing how Michelle's story helped them understand what mattered most in their final time together. Perhaps most significantly, Michelle's story changed conversations about terminal illness and death. Rather than the silence and avoidance that typically surrounds dying, Michelle had spoken openly about her limited time, her goals for that time, and her desire to create meaningful memories. Her honesty gave others permission to have similar conversations, to focus on living fully in whatever time remained rather than pretending death wasn't approaching. Michelle Torres died 6 weeks after her Family Feud appearance on October 30th, 2026. She was at home, surrounded by family, and in her final conscious moments, according to Carlos, she spoke about the Family Feud episode and how perfect that day had been. She said it was everything she wanted it to be, Carlos shared in a later interview. She said she could see it in Sofia's eyes during the taping, pure joy, no fear, no sadness, just a daughter having fun with her mother. That was the memory Michelle wanted to leave her with, and she succeeded. At Michelle's funeral, which was attended by Steve Harvey and several Family Feud staff members, Sofia spoke about her mother with remarkable composure. "My mama taught me that love is stronger than cancer, stronger than death, stronger than anything. She spent her last weeks making sure I knew how much she loved me, creating memories I could keep forever. My 12th birthday on Family Feud was the best gift anyone ever gave me because it showed me that even when things are really bad, you can still choose joy. That's what Mama chose. That's what I'll always remember." The Torres family episode of Family Feud won multiple awards, including recognition from cancer advocacy organizations for its honest and sensitive portrayal of terminal illness. The episode was used in medical school programs teaching palliative care, helping future doctors understand what matters to patients in their final weeks, often not extending life at any cost, but rather making the most of the time they have. 1 year after Michelle's death, Steve Harvey created the Michelle Torres Final Gift Fund, specifically supporting families with terminal cancer diagnoses who wanted to create special experiences or memories in their remaining time. The fund provided financial support, logistical help, and connections to resources that could help turn final wishes into reality. Within its first year, the fund helped over 200 families create meaningful final memories. Sofia, guided by her father and aunt, became a youth advocate for cancer awareness, sharing her perspective as a child who lost her mother to cancer. "My mama fought cancer for 3 years so she could have more time with me," Sofia explained in speeches to schools and community groups. "Every day she fought was a gift, and the way she spent her final weeks, focused on love and memories instead of fear, that taught me how to live, not just how to die." If Michelle Torres' revelation that she appeared on Family Feud during what were probably her final weeks of life, specifically on her daughter's 12th birthday to give Sofia one last perfect memory, has moved you, inspired you to prioritize what matters most, or reminded you that life is precious and time is limited, please take a moment now to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share this story with anyone who needs to remember to focus on love over fear, with families facing terminal diagnoses who need to see that joy is still possible, and with everyone who sometimes forgets to appreciate the time we have. Michelle's fierce maternal love, her grace in facing death, and her determination to give her daughter one final gift of pure joy have inspired millions and created a legacy that extends far beyond her too short life. Your engagement helps ensure this powerful message about living fully while dying, about choosing love in the face of fear, and about the enduring power of family memories reaches more people who need to hear it. The story of 38-year-old Michelle Torres revealing that she came to Family Feud while dying from metastatic breast cancer, specifically choosing her daughter's 12th birthday as the date because she knew it would be their last birthday together, stands as one of the most profound examples of parental love ever captured on television. Michelle's decision to spend her limited energy and remaining strength on creating one perfect, joyful memory for Sofia, rather than focusing on her own fear or pain, demonstrated the fierce protectiveness and selflessness that define maternal love at its deepest. Her acknowledgement that she probably had just weeks left, her honesty about wanting to give her daughter something beautiful to remember amid 3 years of cancer stealing so much, and her success in creating exactly the experience she'd envisioned showed that even when death is inevitable and imminent, we still have choices about how we spend our remaining time. Steve Harvey's complete loss of composure, walking away from the cameras because the weight of Michelle's revelation was too heavy to process while maintaining professional distance, reminded everyone present that some moments transcend entertainment and demand authentic human response. Michelle's legacy lives on not just in Sofia's memory of that perfect day, but in the millions of people who witnessed her courage and were inspired to focus on what matters most: love, connection, and making the most of whatever time we have. That is a lesson worth honoring, a life worth celebrating, and a love that truly does transcend death.